Right, so the purpose of this video will be for two things, to show users how to set up their internal in-house devices, and also for providers of in-house devices and manufacturers of these devices to understand how B-Free is going to work regarding moving files from their device into B-Free, so that the results go through seamlessly. So this will require a number of steps in setting up, because we have to account for the fact that B-Free is in the cloud and your device will be sitting in the practice, so to allow access to local hard drives and things like that. So there's three things you'll need to get this right. First of all, you will need a Google Drive account. Now all B-Free users will be set up with a Google Drive account. So here we've set up an account for testing of devices and things. So you won't have to do this. Generally this will be done for you, but I'll show you what happens in the Google Drive account whilst we're having work orders and results coming back from blood machines. The second thing you will need is the Google Drive synchronization tool. This is a tool provided by Google that synchronizes your Google Drive with any computer on your network. And this is essential so that the files can then be moved between the desktop or the local network drives within the practice back up into the cloud. To get the Google Drive synchronization tool, you simply log into Google Drive, and you'll see here there is an area where you say install Drive for your computer, and that installs a little app that allows Google Drive to synchronize on your computer. And thirdly, obviously, you'll have to have access to B-Free software, so you'll have to log into B-Free software to be able to do this. Right, setting up the Google Drive synchronization tool, I've already done that. It's pretty self-explanatory. You click on this link, it downloads an app, you install that app. Then on your taskbar, which you won't be able to see on my computer at the moment, you might be if I drag down there. On the taskbar here, you can see there's a little tool that sits there. Now this tool, you right-click it, you look at preferences, and then you can map it to synchronize folders anywhere on your network or hard drive. You can even map it to a network drive. Now the place it has to be mapped to will have to be a place that the device, either the digital x-ray machine or the blood testing machine, can access, because our expectation is going to be now that these devices can drop a file into this particular folder. Alright, so here I've already set it up. You can see that that it's working here. It's quite self-explanatory how to do. There is a section that allows you to map the various drives. Actually, what I'll do, let me just do it for you and just show. So I'll just disconnect it now. Yes. Okay, so my Google Drive sync tool is no longer connected. I will now reconnect it to a folder. I'll click sign in, and here you'll have to sign in with the account that is provided with the B-Free installation. So it maps to the correct Google Drive. Let me just find that. Next, 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 and here is this is the one. If you click done, it automatically maps this to your My Documents folder. But if you click on the Advanced Setup, you're then allowed to change the default folder, so that it goes into the default users document. But you can change that and put that anywhere on a network drive or anywhere you want. So I'm just going to create one here in my generic documents folder. That's my old one. It won't let me select that one, but I can do a new one. Alright, and then you can tell it to synchronize everything on this computer if you want, and then you just start the synchronization. and that's it done. So the computer, just the screen goes blank for a second, but here we go. It puts the Google Devices thingy here, and it'll now synchronize the B-free folder with a local folder, so anywhere on the network, and hopefully a folder where the device can drop a file in. All right, let's just move that back up. Right, so now I'm here in my Google Drive, which I've got on this tab here. You can see I've got a default B-free folder there, which is generally how things are set up, with the various folders we require. And you can see here on my desktop now the Google Drive Sync tool is synchronizing those exact same folders onto my desktop computer or anywhere on a network drive within the practice. So that's great. So now we have a way of moving files between the cloud and between the local network. So that's how we set that little bit up. All right, so let's go back to B-free, and then I'll show you what the effects are on the various things. So first of all, what we have to do is add a device. The practice buys a new device, and here we're looking particularly at an in-house blood machine or a digital X-ray machine. So we go to the administration section and simply say here we will add a device. There's a devices section here. You can click on that, and then you can say add a new device. You give the device any name, and that's any name you want here. I'll just call it the Heska CBC. And then here you'll specify what type of file this particular machine is going to choose. So for now, what we'll have to be doing now is getting specifications from the various manufacturers as to what sort of file the system produces. Then B-free can interpret the file and interpret the results. So currently for a X-ray machine, you'll be using the DICOM, and for a CBC machine or a blood machine, we can use something like that, the SKXML. So what you'll probably find there, we'll end up with a Baxis and IDEX and all the various manufacturers there. So I'll just do that. Select that Heska XML, and then I'll save the changes. And you can see now my machine has now been added. If I now go onto Google Drive, you can see a folder has been added on Google Drive, one to accept work orders and one to grab results. So there's two folders created for every machine, and if I go onto my Google Drive synchronization tool on my local network, you can see that that's been done once again there. So that's great. So now everything that's happening on B-free is happening on the local network, meaning we can access the local machines. Right, so for the purpose of this example, I will do a blood test now, and then what we will do is we will do a digital X-ray to just show you the process, and hopefully it all works fine. Right, so if we're going to collect a blood test from a patient, generally we don't normally require to send a work order to the machine, but we can if we want to. In this particular example, we won't send a work order to the machine. Simply what will happen is we collect blood from the patient, and then we will put it in the blood machine. Right, so once the blood's collected and it's run through the machine, the machine will produce a file that looks something like this. Now this will vary from manufacturer to manufacturer, but the file will look something like this, which is what we call an XML file. And when you put the blood into the blood machine, generally it'll ask you for a name of the patient or an identifier. And what's required really is that you put the patient's ID number into the blood machine. And when you do that, the file it produces will generally have something like this. Patient ID there, and that's what identifies the patient. So then we know what patient this blood test belongs to. So going back to B-free, you can see that's 676, and here this particular patient here, well, you've got it there. It's 676. All right. So what we're going to do now is just pretend that this blood machine has now produced this particular file, and we just save it. In the appropriate folder. So that's it. Google Devices is the one we selected. That's the B3 folder. So this is what the blood test machine is going to automatically be pointed to drop results into these folders. And manufacturers should tell us if this is a problem, but generally most modern blood machines can drop a file into a folder anywhere on the local network. Alright, and it drops it into the results folder. Yeah. Alright, and it has to be called, generally has a name like that corresponds to the patient's number. Now this isn't set in stone. We can add scripts depending on manufacturers as to what sort of file to search for to identify the patients. So currently the way we've just done it for testing is that the file name has to have the same number as the patient, and that the tags in here have to have the same ID as the patient. That's, as I say, normally done by virtue of the vet putting in the patient number on the console on the machine. Right, so now if I save this file here on my local drive, you can see I put it in here under Heska results, it's there. What will happen now is it should automatically synchronize to here. There it is. And if I go back into B3 now, and I'm on patient 676, if I go to the Files tab, I can see here all the machines or devices that have been added to B3 are here. So if I just click here, Fetch Heska CBC Files, there you go. All done. And it's found the Heska CBC file output as a file here. If I click on that, there we go. We get our blood tests, which is great. And the other thing it does, which is really nice, is it puts that into a results tab, so that you'll be able to see all the different results for a patient through the entire lifetime. So all the granulocytes will be grouped together, all the hematocrits will be grouped together based on date also. So you'll be able to get a lifelong trend for patients, and later down the track we'll even be able to produce graphs for this. So that's the example for the blood testing machine and the full cycle gone through for the blood testing machine. So the next example we'll do will be a digital X-ray and show you how that'll work. Right, so for X-ray machines, there's going to be an extra step here. We're actually going to show you how to produce a work order that is sent to the X-ray machine to request the X-ray, and then the result that comes back. So this is a two-stage process. Not all digital X-ray machines accept work orders, but in the case that you do, we have put in the functionality for a work order. So a couple of things have to be done on B3. First of all, we'll add the device just like we did before. So if we go here, administration, and we'll add a device here, devices, add a new device, and we'll just call this digital X-ray. And it'll have to be a DICOM MWL, meaning that it'll do a two-phase DICOM process. We'll save the changes there. And you'll see here the digital X-ray has been added there. If I go into my Google Drive folder, you can see here digital X-ray has been added. So we have a digital X-ray folder now with results and work orders. So once again, that's been replicated. If I open my Google Drive folder, there it is. So on my local network, once again, I have a folder, and the hope now is that the digital X-ray machine can do two things. One, grab the work order from the work orders folder and push the result back in the form of a compressed JPEG image, or any image, but hopefully compressed, back into the results folder. Right, so that's great. That's happened. Then the next step we'll have to do is how do we generate the work order? In B3, work orders are generated by virtue of when the vet invoices. So if I go to products and look up radiograph, so the vet decides, the veterinary clinic will decide when they want work orders generated. If I take generally what it would be on the first view of a radiograph is when they'd want to generate a work order. So if I click on that particular item, there's a button here called Special Actions, and I'll scroll down to the bottom of the Special Actions, and here you'll see there is Generate a Device Work Order, and the work order we want is the digital X-ray one. to set it for that device, and then we'll save the special action like that. Alright, that's great. So that's set up now. So all I have to do now is for this particular patient is invoice a digital x-ray. So if I just go to consultations and I do a consultation, right, do history, put here radiograph, save the consultation, and you'll see because a special action has been linked to that particular product, as soon as that invoice line is put in, this product has triggered a work order to be created. So we know a work order has been sent. So if I now look into my in my Google Drive here, you'll see device digital x-ray 1 work orders. There we have a work order. And now if I look on my local folder, here's the work order here. So let's open that work order just so everyone can see that. Okay, so this is the work order. This is basically the DICOM specification, which identifies the patient, etc. So you can see your patient name, patient identification number, breed, and species, things like that are all in here. Now this again, if you're a manufacturer of a device and you require a different work order, that's pretty easy. You just have to send us the specification and we'll do new coding for the specification. But currently for DICOM systems, this is the work order that's required. So that file is there. So the hope is now that what will happen is most digital X-ray machines can poll this folder and grab any work orders. That work order will automatically go into the digital X-ray machine and populate the digital X-ray machine with the correct patient information, and then the radiologist will then take that radiograph. So once the radiograph is taken, I don't have a digital X-ray machine on me here, but once that X-ray is taken, what will happen is the digital X-ray machine should then drop the X-ray into this results folder, right? And in this results folder then, so I just have a dodgy little X-ray here. I'll just copy this one across and pretend I'm a digital X-ray machine. Right, so that is hopefully what will happen automatically. The digital X-ray machine then dumps a folder in there. Now, the one requirement here, and again, this is as a manufacturer, if you have different requirements, we can code this for you. But what we've currently done for testing purposes is you simply just have to put that's what the file has to be called. It has to be called the same as the patient ID 679, I think it was. Let's just double check that. Patient ID, 676. So to get it to that patient, it has to be 676. So now we have a file there called 676 on the local network. Hopefully what will happen now is it will synchronize here. If we go back to the digital X-ray results, there we go. We have a file there called 676. So now what will happen is if I go into this patient's record and I go to files and I say fetch digital X-ray file, the system then searches that particular folder, and there we have our digital X-ray. So the whole cycle is completed. I can click on it and I can view it. There we go. So, so as easy as that. That's the full cycle done, including work orders and things. As a manufacturer, if you're watching this video, take a note of that. Note the requirements of the local folder where your device has to be able to either grab work orders from a specific folder anywhere on the local network, and produce results and drop them in a folder anywhere on the local network. That's really the requirement. The other thing you might want to think about is the file specifications. If they are different, we can do that for you. That's no problem. Currently, either the file name has to be the same as the patient's ID number, or there has to be an XML tag within the file to identify that patient. But we are quite versatile, and for each device we can code a different methodology there, so that's no problem. Thank you for watching the video. If there are any questions, please contact us.